The question of the day is, what is a woman? And as I'm sure you're already aware, this question really is a hot topic at the moment. And even though there are lots of ways to answer this question, something that you might not realize is that underneath all of this drama and behind all of the clever commentary that we're hearing is a hidden opportunity for us as queer people to engage with the primal source of gender and creative expression. But of course, the only way for us to transcend our compulsive need for an answer and leave behind our conceptual understanding of gender is if we learn how to appropriately and effectively engage with this question of what is a woman. And that's what this conversation is about. But first, let's quickly deflate this charged atmosphere, which all of us are feeling. And it's an atmosphere that's surrounding this question, what is a woman? Or depending on your preference, the question might be, what is a man? Or what is a non-binary person? Or really just however else you want to phrase it. Okay, so the first thing to recognize is that for the most part, this question, what is a woman? It's being weaponized in order to antagonize the queer community. And really, it's nothing more than an attempt to suck us into a toxic and superficial debate about really just our inherent right to exist. So for those of us who are feeling pulled into this soul-sucking orbit, it's important to realize that this is not a fight that we need to win. And in fact, it's not even something that we can win, because this entire conversation is being framed in a way which positions the trans person as needing to prove who they are. But of course, the only proof that actually matters, which is our mere existence, right? It's not something that the opposition is actually willing to recognize because it doesn't fit inside their model of reality, which of course means that the only real purpose of this debate is for a certain group of insecure people to dominate and control and project their own reality onto the rest of the world. So if you, the queer or trans person, are feeling affected by this mainstream conversation, then I want to reassure you that you do not owe this world an explanation, because who you are is who you are. And the very idea that you need to prove, earn, or defend that which is natural to you, it's total nonsense. Which means that really you don't need to justify your truth to someone else just because they're baiting you with questions like, what is a woman? And they're framing it in a way where there's an assumption that there's supposed to be some clear-cut answer. Like the whole thing is just framed in a way that's setting you up to feel uncomfortable within yourself. So please just preserve your energy and really just allow for this conversation to play itself out, because it's just not worth it. And in the end, all it's going to do is distract you from your own peace of mind. And then just as a side note, I did want to mention that I find it incredibly ironic that from within the context of masculine and feminine energetic dynamics, which is a framework of understanding that most of this world has subscribed to for like thousands of years, the feminine side of the equation literally represents the unknown. Whereas the masculine is that which is known, the feminine nature is by definition unknowable. She is quite literally an enigma. Or in other words, her defining characteristic is that she can't be defined, which I get it's not the exact same conversation that the Western society is having about what it means to be a woman, but still the fact that our over-masculinized society is pointing its rational, logical, borderline obsessive desire with quantifying and knowing onto the enigma of womanhood. I mean, that's just the kind of irony that is like, but I digress, because more important than addressing the ignorance of this debate is using this as an opportunity to go deeper into ourselves, right? And so that's what our strategy is all about. How can we, as trans or queer people, engage with the inquiry of what is a woman in a way that actually brings us closer to who we are, as opposed to farther away from it? Okay, so let's talk about that strategy, which is called relax into the question. And instead of using a clever answer to cover up the void which this question activates, just relax. See if you can breathe into that open space, sit with the uncomfortableness, and admit that you don't actually know the answer. And then see where that leads you. See if you can follow that thread into the dark and intuitively sense your way into the space which is resting behind and underneath this question. Or in other words, use this question as a tool for going beyond yourself, beyond that which the conceptual mind knows, beyond descriptive language, ideas, definitions, and labels. And then instead of trying to solve the question with your intelligence, simply allow for the question to guide your attention. But again, you're not doing this because you're looking for an answer, but instead, you're doing it because you are courageous enough to sit inside of the unknown. So really, this strategy is all about being okay with not knowing and then relaxing into the feeling space which the question is going to activate. Because in my experience, the only way to touch the truth of gender or the truth of womanhood or the truth of manhood or personhood is to go beyond that which is known. And in the same way that someone who wants to know the truth of God or the truth of life, they're going to have to give up all of their ideas about who or what they think that God or life is or isn't, right? So if you're feeling that itch to know what a woman is, or to know what a man is, or to just know what gender is, and then every time you hear about this debate and you feel pulled into its orbit, maybe it's because there is an intuitive knowing inside of you that recognizes the hidden potential of this question. So instead of trying to come up with an intelligent, progressive answer, my suggestion is to pull back and to get quiet and to water that intuitive prompting with your attention and to tend to the garden of your not knowing by spending time there, by being curious and playful and lighthearted and not imposing your will onto gender, but instead softening and allowing for gender to enter into your heart. And then when that happens, then this debate about gender will lose all of its significance, and the need to prove or defend your truth just won't be relevant anymore because you will have touched upon something that is just more true, more real than even the most intelligent theories about gender. And if you want to learn more about asking the right questions and feeling your way into the reality of gender, then you should watch this video, because in it I share a powerful strategy for coming into relation with the truth of gender. All right, that's all I've got. I'll see you in the next one.